got my trusty marker. I got my trusty black marker. That means I'm ready for your calculations. Roman tried to throw me off my game yesterday. That was awesome. I love that. I love the fact that I'm going to be meeting with a couple of clients, and it's coming up. You know who you are. Very excited. Okay. We looked at your questions. Very good questions. All right. And I'm going to be emailing you right after this shoot. Okay. Right after this shoot, we're going to be emailing the answer to your question. You emailed me. Right. I'm going to answer you. All right. So the question for today is, what banks? All right. What banks? Okay. What banks are actually velocity bound? What's going on, Samuel? Awesome, man. Glad to see you back. What banks can you use for massive velocity? And that's what we want to talk about today. All right, that's what we want to talk about today. We also want to talk about any scenario that you have or just come up. Maybe your friend has, maybe your cousin has. We want to make sure. What's going on, Dane? Good to see you, man. Absolutely. Yes. Look, we want to know the scenarios that you have. What's going on, Martin? Good to see you, buddy. Absolutely. Yes, sir. We're going to get into it. Because we know that we had a recording on this earlier, but we want to get more into the specifics on what banks are velocity friendly. We want to make sure that we have that, all right? So what banks are going to be more velocity friendlier than the other banks? So the first bank that we want to get into, all right? And not only that, folks, if you have what's going on, Neela? All right, good to see you. Absolutely. Yes. The first bank we want to get into, all right? Maybe some of you have never known. That's right, Jose. Hey, man, we're going to be here 6 working days, all right? 6 working days we'll be on here. Why? Because people have questions, man. Absolutely. And I know that in the daytime, you have something that comes up, and perhaps it kind of flustered you. Have you ever been flustered because of a question that you had, or maybe you don't know how to answer a problem, right? As far as your bank account is concerned, as far as the credit cards are concerned, maybe your credit lines, we're here to answer those questions. Absolutely. 6 working days, man. So the point is what? Regions Bank is one of the top banks that I recommend. And actually, I was just talking to someone the other day that was talking about how they got this really big line of credit through a Regions Bank. And the reason that is I think it's because it has something to do with the name region. Many times you see that some banks are more community oriented than they are nationally oriented, all right? They care about what goes on inside of the community, so you see that they have more of, what shall we say, leeway, okay? They're more lenient. Why? Because they know that this person, this business owner, or this lender, whoever you are, okay, this employer, this employee, they are a contributor to this sector of society. This is the mind frame of the credit unions. This is the mind frame of some of these smaller banks, all right? Hey, Regions Bank, don't be offended. I'm not calling you small, all right? It's awesome when you're a big bank and you think like a small bank, all right? How you're more community oriented. I hope that doesn't change. Good job on your Regions Bank, all right? But I'm just saying, they have more of a community mindset. Regions Bank does. I know a lot of you have already reached out to me and let me know certain banks are just more friendlier than others, and that's true, right? Regions Bank is one of them. That's one of the top ones that I would recommend. What? That's velocity banking friendly. Velocity banking friendly. Let me say what's up to Jose. What's going on, Jose? And Deborah, yes, absolutely. How do you put your check into your card, but the line of credit is lower than your paycheck? That is a great question. I'm going to actually read that fully, Deborah, because that is an awesome question. The number 2 bank, right? What do you think is going to be? Oh, come on now. Huh? Now, I know this is a little biased, but I like Navy Federal Credit Union. They're very, very trusting, especially when it comes to their members that say, hey, I need that line of credit, that $15,000 line of credit. We need that. You remember that account that you were talking to me about? How that I can actually connect my credit card to? I'm going to need that kind of checking account. I really am. That's right, Neela. PinFed. Yes. No joke. So I was talking to a couple the other day. They were on the phone. I recommended PinFed to them. Okay? I recommended PinFed to them. They actually went to PinFed, Neela, and got, like, off the bat, a $20,000 line of credit, and then another $15,000 line of credit. And I was like, that was like far beyond, because we were talking about the numbers and whatnot, and I was helping them out. But I didn't know that they were going to get that much at the time. So that was a kind of a shock to me, because it was so quick. How it just quickly happened. And so, yeah, definitely, Neela, PinFed, you read my mind. PinFed, that's another one. Now, what I want to do right now, since we gave you the top 3, go ahead and research those. Let me know how you feel about these banks, all right? And we want to go ahead and answer this question. I want you to go ahead and write this down, all right? And make sure you're taking what's going on, Dre. Absolutely. Make sure you're taking copious notes, because we're going to go into it today, all right? So what banks are velocity friendly? What banks are velocity friendly? Number 1, Regions Bank. I know Neela's like, nah, number 1 is PinFed to me. I know. But look, Regions Bank, number 1. Number 2, NFCU. Number 3, definitely in the top 3. Don't forget PinFed. Now, there are others, right? There are others that I can name off to you, right? However, due to, regulations, due to the current events that have been going on in certain banks, some of you know what I'm talking about. Look, what I want to do is just go ahead and leave out those banks, right? Because we want to have what? We want to be above board when we're getting these lines of credit, okay? We want to get as much line of credit as we can, so that what? So that we can solve Deborah's problem right now. So I want you to go ahead, keep me with the transfer check. Yes. Isn't that beautiful though? Neela, isn't that beautiful? Dre, 50K in personal lines of credit. Andrews Federal Credit Union. Look at Dre. He's helping the community out. Huh? Dre, you need to be a member, man. That's value right there. What you just added, somebody needed to pay you for that. Absolutely. Look, hello, she said, Deborah. I'm glad you're doing this, and thank you so much. I'm glad that you're on right now. The question is, how do you put your check into your card, but your line of credit is lower than your paycheck? Oh my goodness, what another good question. So let's go ahead. That line of credit is lower than your paycheck. So in other words, let's go ahead and just give you a number here, 5,000. All right, $5,000. Let's go ahead and place that as the income. All right, we're going to place it as the income. We're going to place that as the income. Okay, $5,000. But there's a problem, isn't there? Let's just step back, guys. Okay? Many times we go at things and we're just, maybe it's digging dirt, You're trying to get out of something, okay, and you can't see the forest for the trees. Meaning you're lost in the sauce. You're lost in your work. Have you ever heard the term, are you working on your business or are you working in your business? Are you working in your finances or are you working on your finances? Do you have a 50,000-foot view? Can you breathe in and then breathe out and then think clearly about how you should allocate the funds? That's what we want to do right now. Because we're coming up against a real problem. This is not a scenario, okay? These are real issues. These are real challenges that people have, okay? What if your income, come on with me now. What if your check into your car, but your line of credit is actually lower? It's lower than your paycheck. What does that look like? Let me show you. Now, you guys can clearly see that, right? I'm not trying to hide anything from you. You clearly see that the income is higher, the check is higher than the line of credit. Many of you are asking great questions. This is awesome. This is awesome. Thank you, Martin. Absolutely. Balance transfer checks. Isn't that beautiful? Aren't balance transfer checks beautiful? We're going to talk about that. But look at this. Now, CJ, you said, right? I said, go ahead and put the income inside of the line of credit. Well, what if you have leftover income? Because when I was in school, I was taught that $5,000 minus $3,000, watch this, is $2,000. So I still got some left over, CJ. What's that all about? What would you do? What would you do if you had an income higher than your line of credit? Nina said, hey, it stays into your account. Huh? There you go, Martin. That's right. What would you do? I tell you what I'd do. I'd ask for another line of credit. I'd ask for a higher line of credit. Now, you don't have to, right? You can put this in an interest-bearing account, the other $2,000, right? But ask for that higher line of credit. If not, what about getting another line of credit? Or do you already have 3 to 5 credit cards? Do you already have another line of credit? Huh? And it all depends, doesn't it? It all depends. Is this a secured line of credit or not? If it's unsecured, go ahead and ask for that increase. Let them know, listen, this is what I'm going to do if it comes to that. All right? Awesome. Yes. Miss Edwards, that is awesome. Let me go ahead and I will go ahead and address that, all right? Thank you for that. Thank you for that comment. Thank you for that comment. That's very good. I think that's very needful, okay, for the community here. So look, the line of credit. It's okay to ask for a line of credit increase. He said, well, what if I don't get it? Well, then you can dispute it, that inquiry, and it should come off of the credit report. Because any inquiry, right, into a line of credit that you did not get, according to the Fair Credit Reporting Act, you have the right to dispute, and it has to come off of your record. How many knew that? How many knew that? All right? Credit scores go up and down. Don't be afraid of the credit score. All right? It's nothing to be afraid of. Listen, you have a line of credit of $3,000 and an income of $5,000. So what I want you to do with the $2,000, I want you to make sure that you look at that $2,000 and then ask yourself a question. How can I grow this? How can I grow this? Or what principal can I pay down with this extra $2,000? Because how are you paying your line of credit off? How are you paying it off? You're paying it off with your cash flow, right? That's how you're paying it off. All right, so never forget that. Ask for more lines of credit, right? Get yourself, if you don't have 3 to 5 credit cards already, get yourself maybe another secured card, all right? And maybe you can take that extra $2,000 and grow it somewhere. Do we help people with that? All the time. info@velocityc.com. If you want to get on a one-on-one with me, just join the Velocity Evangelist membership. We'll get the one-on-ones. We'll get that 24/7 interaction with you, with me and my team. All right? Absolutely. All right? That's a very good question. But the number one thing you need to do when that's the case, when the income is greater than the line of credit, increase this line of credit. Now, if you remember when I said, is that a secured line of credit? If it's a secured line of credit, you can tell the bank, hey, I got an extra $2,000. Can I place this on my secured line of credit? What happens when they say yes? This, watch this, turns into this. And there is nothing left over. All the leftover is in here. So say you're spending, you got the income $5,000, right? Then the out goes $3,000. All I'm saying is, it's so much better for the $2,000 to work for you than it is for the $2,000 to work against you. Because as you're keeping it in the checking account, you're jailing it. You're putting your slaves, you're putting your slaves in jail and they aren't working for you. And what happens when someone doesn't work their muscles? It starts decreasing in the form of inflation. And you become part of the problem instead of the solution. We need to make this $2,000 work for us. You got to remember that, all right? Income, that's right. Learning something new every day. Thank goodness. Awesome, Samuel, that's awesome. I just started with my credit cards and I use them to pay my bills. They're all at 300 limits. Listen, Miss Edwards, did you know that that's a... You know, I'm upset at the education system, the financial education system, that has tried to shame us as entrepreneurs, consumers, producers, lenders, in saying that it's not okay to start out with maxed out cards. My question is, how else are you supposed to learn? How else are you supposed to learn? Miss Edwards, look, that's okay. If your cards are maxed out at first, what? Because you're just starting. You know what you need to spend your money on? You need to spend your money on education, okay? Spend that money on what is your passion, right? Let's put that line of credit towards something that can produce for you. Remember the two incomes that are extremely important. The two expenses, productive expense and protective expense. Let's go ahead and get out of the way. This is very, very important, okay? You see, when you graduate from just having to pay your mortgage, your car loans off with your line of credit, and your expenses with your line of credit, you will then graduate into utilizing your line of credit for investments. Okay? That comes under the productive category. You're going to use your line of credit ideally, and this is the highest level. You're going to use your line of credit for business expansion. All right? Maybe that means delegating somebody. Maybe that means hiring a secretary. Perhaps that means hiring someone who can do web design. Perhaps that means, absolutely, because the more stuff that you do not do, see, you have to focus on the $10,000 an hour jobs. You got to focus on your unique selling proposition. You got to focus on your skills, stuff that you do best. You need to focus on speaking arrangements. You need to focus on your clients. That's what you need to focus on as a business owner. You need to focus on that and have everyone, absolutely, let's divvy out these jobs, folks. What are you doing still sending emails to thousands of people? Okay? I know you're weary of that. You know why you're weary of that? Because you're not supposed to do it. Isn't that wild? That's why you're tired of it. But it's such a breath of fresh air to know that, man, the reason why I'm tired of it is because I'm not supposed to do it anyway. So take your line of credit and divvy that out to that web designer. Take your line of credit and divvy it out to someone else so that you can do what you were made to do. Miss Edwards, I'm talking to you. Huh? All of them at the limits. That's okay. That's all right if it's at the limits for now. Matter of fact, I venture to say that you don't have 5 credit cards, do you? Do you have 5 credit cards? Because if so, I want you to also go to your bank and let them know, listen, I need a line of credit. I need a line of credit. Endeavor to get more credit, right? More limits so that you aren't stuck in that corner. Remember, you're only going to be here for a little while, all right? This happens to just about everyone, all right? It's just a learning curve. You're going to learn it, and it's going the limits are going to stack up, and you're not going to know what to do with all the limits that you have. Man, you're going to be purchasing and investing in all sorts of stuff with your lines of credit. You're not going to know what to do. You really aren't, okay? So I thank you so much for sharing that. Yeah, don't get discouraged. They're all maxed out, so what? And get more. Get a line of credit, okay? If you already have the max at 5 credit cards, you don't have to get the credit cards anymore. Let's go to the line of credit. What about business credit? Hello, someone, all right? You can go on to business credit and get yourself some more business credit cards without your personal guarantee and utilize the velocity banking method there. Can you do that? Yes, you can do that. Yes, you can do that. I know of a fleet card right now. If you got a business, they'll happily send you $1,000 that you can use for gas, for maintenance, just starting out. What am I talking about? I'm talking about WEX. W-E-X. Fleet card. Fleet card. You say, CJ, I need help. I need help with business credit. Info at velocityc.com. Let me know. Let me know. We'll schedule you in for that free consultation. We'll see where you're at, and we'll recommend the best way for you. All right? Because the truth of the matter is, you can take your business credit, okay, and you can even make a loan. Let's say you got $50K in business credit. All right? Well, let's say 50 plus, because it's pretty easy to get business credit, especially now. You can actually, can you lend to yourself? Let me ask that question to you. Can your business lend to you? Absolutely. So, Miss Edwards, with this 50K, all right, you can pay all your debts off making a loan to yourself, and you can pay yourself. Now, what does that look like? It looks to me that you have your own bank. And as you continue to pay it back, guess what's going to happen? The credit limits are going to rise and rise and rise. Listen, if you need a one-on-one, then you need to schedule a free consultation with me. I'm going to recommend the best path for you. Absolutely. Oh, I gotta read this out. This is so, Miss Edwards, this is awesome. She said, my family thinks that I'm crazy for using my cards like that. I just laughed at them. They think I'm robbing Peter to pay Paul, but they have it backwards. Yes, they do. And you know, they have you as a great example many times. Oh, this is so inspirational. You're an inspiration, Miss Edwards. Many times, people will not appreciate what you do until you do it. And you continue faithfully in that. And they see, oh my word, we were wrong. And then they realize that they were the ones that were wrong. Because then they'll see the math, right? And they'll realize it. It's like a light bulb moment, right? It's a light bulb moment. You know, and it's just like with anything, you know, any challenge, okay? Remember the people that thought that the sun like rotated around the earth, right? And then they laughed at the one who was like, no, I think his name was Copernicus or something like that. No. The sun is the one that we actually make a revolution around, right? And they laughed that dude to scorn. Until they proved, oh man, you know, he was right. Many times it's like that. Miss Edwards, you are a pioneer for your family. You are a pioneer for your community. You are a pioneer, all right? And I applaud you for your bravery. I applaud you for your faithfulness. I applaud you because you see now, right? You don't need me to tell you. You already can do math, and you already know. So that's amazing. That is amazing to me. Good job. That's awesome. Awesome. 4 cards. Okay. Get yourself another one then. Get yourself another one. 5 is the limit. It's okay. Okay, perfect. Hey, you're welcome, Deborah. Absolutely, man. We're getting to every one of these comments, huh? Every one of you is special. Listen, Samuel. I know you asked the question. Mm-hmm. Awesome, man. That's right. Yes, you will. All right, Neela. Oh, the boss. Here we go. I use the business credit card, all right, to pay down the mortgage from $55K. Now I'm at $26K using an interest-free credit card. Using that money to buy. I gotta read that again. Neela said, I use my bank, look, I use my business line of credit, watch this, to pay down my mortgage from $55K. Now I'm at $26K. Using an interest-free credit card. Using their money to buy them. Marker drop. Use the bank's money to buy them. Do you see that? Do you see how powerful that is? Use their money. Someone type that in the chat. Use their money. Whoever they are, use their money. Use the investor's money. Use the bank's money. Use other people's money to make money, not yours. I say it again and again and again, and I'll keep saying it. When you got a secured line of credit, when you got a secured credit card, That money's not yours. They gave it to you. You didn't earn it. Huh? They said, you know what? We're going to give you $5,000. They say, hey, we're going to give you 10K. We're going to give you 20K, 30K, whatever it is. That's money they gave you and that you can take full advantage of using the velocity banking method, using their money to increase the limits. Like Neela, the boss. Which bank would you recommend to have your business aligned with, or the one that I should get that first business line of credit with? You know what, man? We actually went to a meeting as a realtor, man. We went to this meeting that completely changed the way I look at business banking. There's a bank entitled Live Oak, and it all depends on what your plan is. However, these guys have a massive loan structure, a massive line of credit that they'll give your business that is connected with the SBA. And I am so thankful that all of these business banks are waking up to the fact that people need lines of credit in their business bank account. So number one, check out Live Oak. Okay, very, very great question. And then number two, man, I gotta say it. For business banking, NFCU is pretty good as well. The credit union, for business banking, especially if you want it interest free, right? Or excuse me, fee free. Oh my word, it's amazing. It really is. There's also, if you're into internet banking, online banking, First Internet Bank. There's also Novo. Okay. Absolutely, these banks are pretty good. That's a very good question. Very good question to align with. Yeah. So Live Oak first, Navy Federal Credit Union next, and then that's right, Novo. And then after that would be First Internet Bank. Okay, try those out, man. Let me know how you get treated and whatnot. But no, they're very good, especially if you're online as well. Why do you think Ramsey said cut the credit card? And what do you think about his method? Why do I think that? You know what, Samuel? That's a very good question, man. The reason I think that Dave does that, Mr. Ramsey does that, is because he grew up, right, with a mindset. Okay? And his audience are basically consumers, all right? And there are people who cannot, or in his mind, is irresponsible with money. And so just like you would a child, right, you wouldn't let them play with knives, right? You wouldn't let them play with fire, even though both are helpful. Oh man, let me say that again. A child, right, you wouldn't let them play with knives, okay? You wouldn't let them play with fire, even though both are helpful, even though both are very necessary. Why? Because knives and fire are for adults. Knives and fire are for the mature, not infants. And so when he says, cut up the credit cards, who's his audience? Who's his audience? I think better of you. You know what I mean? I think much better of you. I think that you can think, right? I mean, you're forming, you know what I mean? Very good questions here. All right? Very good questions, which means I know that you know this, okay? I know that you are implementing this, even if it's at a very small level, period. And I'm very, very proud of you. So that's what I think about it, man. He's talking to a particular audience, and I'm talking to a particular audience, right? That looks at their situation and goes, man, I'm actually allergic to beans and rice. So what else am I going to do? You're going to use it the right way. Okay? And you have help. All right? That's what we're here for. Perfect. 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 Let's get to these. Hey, Neela. Awesome. Awesome. Hey, no problem. Miss Edwards, that's right. Use their money. That's right. There you go. Neela, look at you. Yep. Credit. There you go. That's right. There you go. Hey, Miss Edwards said it right. She said, listen, you got to be crazy to think I'm cutting my credit cards when I know what to do with them now. That's the bottom line. That's right. Absolutely, Sergio. Anytime, man. Hey, man, when we gonna connect? I saw you in my email. Mm-hmm. No, I haven't forgot about you. I have not forgotten about you, man. Let's go ahead and do that. That's right. You just gotta do it. You just gotta do it. Mm-hmm. Abdullah, thank you so much. Nina, Miss Edwards, Samuel, Jose, Martin, thank you so much for attending. If you guys have any questions, just let me know. All right. We want to end it on that note. Make sure that you are going to these banks. Remember, Regions Bank, Navy Federal Credit Union, and PenFed. No, they did not pay me to say this, okay? And I wouldn't take their money anyway, all right? Listen, folks, this is what works for us, and I'm sure it's worked for a lot of you all as well. So we want to make sure that you are utilizing their money to the greatest extent, to leverage, okay? That's the word of the century, leverage. You know, somebody asked me, let's close with this. Somebody asked me, what is the key? Oh, it's all good. Yeah, Sergio, absolutely. What is the secret to the universe? And I said, well, what if the secret was velocity, leverage, and balance? I'm going somewhere with this. I said, what if the secret was velocity, leverage, and balance? Because what is velocity? Somebody tell me. Velocity in financial terms is making $1 do the work of 1,000. You're making $1 do the work of 1,000. What's leverage? Somebody said, if you give me a tool or a stick big enough, I can move the world. Huh? What is leverage? Leverage is taking the small to move the big. We can also say it's maneuvering. Maneuvering the small to move the big. All right? And balance. What is balance? 1 degree from the sun, away from the sun. Did you know will freeze to death? 1 degree closer and will fry. I know it's been said that work hard and get good grades, and you'll get a good job, and you'll make it in life. But it's not about working hard. It's about using velocity, using leverage, and having balance. That are just 3 parts of the secrets of the universe. Because you've worked hard, right? But how many of you know that that doesn't necessarily equal your dreams? You gotta use velocity, leverage, and balance. And start working less and less. And that's why I said, make sure that you hire out when you can business owners. All right? Absolutely. Thank you so much, Miss Edwards, for answering that question. That's a good question, too. That's awesome. Camissa? So look, this concludes this session. Thank you so much for the questions. Have them loaded. If you get through something, right, and tomorrow you've got a question, go ahead and have it for me. We'll go ahead and address it right now, all right? And right now, I mean tomorrow, all right? It's about the same time. So what is it on the East Coast? About 6 to 7 o'clock p.m. So yeah, 6 to 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to be back here tomorrow. Folks, I can't wait. All right? God bless. You have a great night.